ask
Correct.
you this. Do you believe that the vast majority of the people who come out to these protests are natives of Minneapolis? Because I have a hard time believing. Now, I know liberals are stupid. And you have your,
Yes.
your little vigilante village idiots that'll come out because they don't know any better. But the amount of protesters that they have in the quantities that they have, I do believe that these are paid agitators because they're trained. They know exactly what to do. What say you?
I agree with you 100%. And as we go further in the original video clips with the hyenas that I sent you, we have organizations, April, that are being exposed who are funding this nationwide. So
Right.
it ties into exactly what we've been saying. Now, I'm going to tell you, for someone who has been in Minneapolis 3 times, and the first time was 2017, literally on the ground for days. Minneapolis was falling apart then. I saw dysfunction, and I travel the country. I saw dysfunction downtown Minneapolis that the only thing on par I've seen with that anywhere in the country is Houston and Los Angeles. So they do have a lot of their population in Minneapolis is libtarded without a shadow of a doubt. But when you see perfectly painted and designed signs and buses appearing just 5 blocks from where ICE is conducting an operation, no,
bricks.
that's funded and coordinated. Correct. That's funded and coordinated.
Let's take a listen.
A local Minneapolis pastor was among the protesters following yesterday's shooting. He was in the neighborhood where the shooting happened and has worked there for years. Reverend Kenny Callahan says he was handcuffed and detained by a masked federal agent and put in the back of an SUV. He says the agent asked, "Are you afraid yet?" When he was eventually released, Reverend Callahan says the agent told him, "Well, you're white, and it wouldn't be any fun." Reverend Callahan joins me now. Reverend, thank you for joining us. These are some explosive allegations. Tell me about what happened.
So we got a member of the Rainbow Mafia Booty Bandits.
Let him speak, April. Let him speak.
I have not seen this clip, so y'all got to forgive me. Let me press play.
I do it every time.
As I arrived at church yesterday, I noticed that there was something going on just a block and a half from the church. And so I grabbed my whistles because we're used to doing that. And I went down to see what was going on. And I realized it was an ICE raid. And there were many, many protesters. So I joined the protesting. And before I knew it, I saw ICE agents circling a young woman who appeared to be Hispanic. And so I approached her, and we were at that point chanting, "We are not afraid. We are not afraid. Go out of our state. We are not afraid." And I said to this ICE agent, "Take me. Stop harassing her. Take me." The agent came, got in my face, pointed a gun at me, and said, "Are you afraid now?" To which I said, "I am not afraid." The next thing I knew, they were putting handcuffs on me, and they put me in the back of an SUV. They came back 3 times, and they asked me if I was afraid yet. To which I replied, "Hell no, I'm not afraid of you, and I'm never going to be afraid of you." The 3rd time when they came back, they asked for my identification. They asked for my cell phone. I asked them if I was under arrest. They didn't answer. And then they said to me, "Well, you're white. You won't be any fun anyway. You can get out of the car." I was astounded to experience and see such blatant racism and the effects that this is having on our community. But let me tell you, the other thing that I was amazed by was the number of different kinds of persons that were showing up at that rally to support immigrants and to be able to say, "No, we are going to support our immigrant siblings because this is what we do."
Why is he so saucy and sassy?
Right? It ties into everything. It ties into what you were sharing before you brought me on. I'm like, April is on one and you haven't seen this clip. And listen, April, people need to stop voting for these men that pee sitting down, okay?
Squat to pee males. That's
Correct.
what this is. This is a squat to pee male.
Correct.
Like, he's
Now,
saucy and brave. He think he brave. I will never be afraid. I'll never be afraid of you.
now again, April, play detective with me for a minute here. So
Okay.
notice what he said. He grabbed his whistles and ran down the street.
Right?
Where's your cell phone, preacher? This was 8 days ago. There's been no video produced of this pastor interacting with ICE and being detained. And he has no video footage of it. Don't we find that strange?
So you think he's making up this narrative?
Girl, I had to catch myself, but yes. Yes. And I mean, literally, they were giving him the rounds. Now, of course, this is BS now, but he was on all the local stations in Minneapolis telling the same story. They brought the cameras to the church and saw his little rainbow flags in the church. And again, he is the perfect, when we talk about the people, sis, that go along with this.
Right.
Straight out of central casting. Straight out of central casting.
This so it sounds like the narrative they surrounded this what appeared to be a Hispanic woman.
Hispanic woman,
And
yes.
if you listen to the languaging around this, he says, we're standing with our what do you call them? Some of their brothers and sisters.
Immigrant siblings.
Right, our immigrant siblings. What? They want us. This is how people, particularly Christians who are not rooted and grounded in a biblical framework, they will hear that and be like, do you see the compassion and the love that he has for these people? And they totally forget the fact that you do not get to be a lawbreaker and then get celebrated for doing so. There's a lawful way to come here. And just because you are here now, we are under no obligation to harbor a fugitive or to protect you.
Correct. And this ties in, he is a part of the network because they get funding too, April. Remember, these are 501c3s. And remember the clip I sent you that you reviewed the other night where the church and the Methodist church outside of Charlotte.
Yes.
So you see, they play this game. This is what happens, sis, when scripture talks about, they stop worshiping the creator and start worshiping the creation and being given over to a debased mind. This is exactly what that looks like in real time. So they have made their own version of Christianity. This is apostate. Yeah. And it's not just in one area. It's not going to be in one area. April, it defiles everything they touch. And so this is how you get this. And of course, this is what he supports. You'll find him at another march about women's reproductive rights.
Notice
the
virtue signals all in the frame. The rainbow quilt on the right and the left. The saucy, sassy way he communicates. He's already letting you know the sin that he celebrates. And then just like you said, they celebrate the womb assassination and the reproductive rights. And I'm telling you, I believe that they use the veneer of Christianity to really hide the main agenda, which is the cultural Marxism. That's what this is. This is a perverted form. This is not the Christianity that was handed down by the apostles to us. This is some pseudo apostate diddycrat pastor foolishness.
That's exactly what it is. Now, mind you, remember, he's trying to convince her audience how brave he was and being sassy at the same time. And my question would have been for him, again, you notice what network he went on first. Yeah. Where was that bravery back in 2020 when chop zones and Chad zones were set up in the middle of Minneapolis in George Floyd Square, where people were murdered, women were raped? Where was he standing up then to the criminals that they allowed to take over the city when they burned down the police precinct saying, get out of our state? This is a clown.
Right. He's an actor.
Correct. Right. But he's what they need because when you talked about in the previous segment, April, about how we in the Black community fell under the false leadership of MLK, this is the same playbook.
Same playbook. The
This is the same
agitation.
playbook. Right. People have to, what we have to understand, and that's why, again, we reference Vince so much because he's been such an influence on us. But
Right.
you being last week with Chad and Chuck, shout out to them. We have to understand that Blacks were the lab rats. We were the experiment for this Marxist indoctrination. It destroyed our families, destroyed our communities. Most of our churches are corrupt. The Iron Triangle, they saw that it worked on us, and now it's time to fast track it and mainstream it for the entire United States of America. That's
Right.
what we're witnessing.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. It's unfortunate because you actually do have an element of useful idiots within the melanated persuasion that will lock arms
Correct.
and stand side by side with this element and they can't even see how morally and spiritually bankrupt this movement is.
Yes.
They can't
Yeah, they
see
don't want
it.
to see it because they're a part of it.